Did I ever tell you about that one time that I completely skipped school? Like for half of the year, I was skipping every single class. I didn't even go to school most days. I'd sleep in, I wouldn't bother going. I just wouldn't go at all. I was getting calls from the school threatening to call the council. They were saying, no, we'll get the council on you. If you keep missing it, police will end up banging on your door. I was getting all of these threats. There were letters coming to my house. They were sending me messages. It's calling my mom. My mom was getting worried. Of course, she doesn't want to get fined. All of the teachers were bringing it up. Prince, why aren't you at school? What's going on? I missed my science class so much, out of all of the classes I missed, to the point where my science teacher literally thought that I was off on holiday or something. So when I came in for the first time in ages, she was like, "Oh, Prince, how was your holiday?" I wasn't on holiday, I just didn't go to school. I missed so much school that I was getting all these threats. A teacher literally thought I was on holiday. Now, eventually, after like half of the year has passed, I decided, you know what? I'll actually start going to school again. You know, my mum is getting quite worried. I'm getting all these letters. I'd rather not get some police actually banging on my door. That would be pretty annoying. At one point, my friend ended up missing school for 2 weeks. I forgot what country it was in. And because of that, police ended up banging on his door, threatening his parents to send him to a foster family and fine them for like thousands of pounds, which is crazy to me, for 2 weeks. So of course I don't want that to happen to me. So I finally decided I'll go back to school. And I mean, honestly, it wouldn't really change much. My attendance has already plummeted to under 50%. I've missed half of the year essentially. Which is funny because I'm the type of guy who gets 100% in attendance most of the time. I actually got an award for never missing a single day of school at one point. So what brought this up? Why did I keep missing school? Well, I just kind of thought it was useless. I was going to school and I'd come home, and in primary school when I'd come home, my mum would ask me, Prince, what have you learned? And I'd give her a lesson that I've learned. But now, whenever I come home from high school, I wouldn't learn anything. My mum would ask me, Prince, what have you learned in school today? I have nothing to tell you. I'm paying attention to my classes. I'm doing good, and I have nothing to tell you. I'm not learning anything. They'll spend like 2 weeks teaching a single thing that could be taught in 10 minutes. What do you want me to tell you? So I decided to not go to school. Now it comes time for the exams. I sit down, I write my exams, and I get an A on everything. I get an A on my English exam, I get an A on my science exam, I get an A, what other subjects did I do even? I got an A on my admin exam, I get an A on everything, straight A student. On my math exam, I ended up failing that one, and the reason why is because I actually missed the first paper. So with the math exam, it's set up so there's 2 papers. You complete paper 1, you take a little break, and then you complete paper 2. Now I thought the math exam was on a different date. So when paper 1 came around, I wasn't even there. I missed paper 1. I thought it was on a different date. I was just chilling. My mom was getting tons of phone calls from the school, and she bust into my room. Prince, the school is saying that there's an exam on. What are you doing? Get to school. So I was rushing to school. I was already like stressed. What shit? I missed an exam. What the fuck? I got to school. I missed the first paper. I got in for the second paper. And I got told by my science teacher, who told me the grades, that I ended up getting a 48% throughout the entire math test from just the second paper alone, I believe. Now I may have misinterpreted it, but if I get this correct, what it means is that if I had gotten like 1 or 2 questions right on the first paper, I would have passed. So I am counting the math exam as me passing, despite technically I failed, I missed the first paper, sure. Point is, I missed school completely, and I still passed with flying colours, compared to all of these other people who were going to every subject and still somehow managed to fail. My conclusion, and the lesson I learned, is that school is useless, and if you learn at home, you can actually learn over like 20 times faster if you just actually put in effort. Now that's actually a story that I often tell people. You see how interesting that is? Imagine you're in a conversation and you have that story to tell people, and it's so interesting. Imagine that. I found myself recently telling people about the stories that I have a lot more often. And I've noticed that they have so much more interest in talking to me because I have these stories. They have these interesting events to talk about, and they find them pretty entertaining to listen to. Stories are a cheat code to socializing. You can always make small talk, and that's fine. But small talk is pretty boring, and you don't really get to learn about that person. When you tell stories, the reason they are so interesting is because, well, first of all, humans are just biologically wired to like stories. It's been the earliest form of communication for ages. But more importantly, it tells people about you. It reveals so much. It reveals how you react in certain situations. It reveals the type of person you are. It reveals that you're interesting. You have things to talk about. Stories are a cheat code. Now, you can have stories, and a lot of things can be considered stories. Like, people gain tons of stories and they don't even realize that they are actually stories because they don't know how to do the act of storytelling. They tell these stories which are actually pretty interesting, but they tell them in such mundane and boring ways that they just seem boring. So not only do you need to get stories, which you can get by just going outside, live your life, talk to different people, and you will gain stories, I promise you. Going outside is the prerequisite to actually having a life. If you stay indoors all the time, you won't gain any stories. But then when you do gain those stories, you need to learn how to actually tell them with passion, with action, so they are entertaining, so people want to listen to them. And you do that by actually trying. Read storytelling books, watch storytelling videos. Something I found is the best way to actually learn to actually improve your speaking skills is to record videos of yourself telling a story and then watching them back, looking at what you can improve, analyzing it. Because with analysis, you can actually give yourself feedback and improve with that. If you just constantly tell the same story without looking back at it, how will you improve? Because you're just doing the same thing. There's no actual improving. Now, I don't want you to get into the habit, and this is a mistake that I think a lot of people make, the habit of completely disregarding everyone else and just talking about yourself. Because that is boring. Imagine we were in a conversation and then I just randomly started talking about a story all about me and I just didn't give you any room to talk. Now, you may actually want to hear the story. It may be interesting. You may like it, sure. But then what if you don't like it? What if you want to talk about something else and you just aren't interested? But I just keep cutting you off. I don't give you room to say, hey, I don't really want to talk about this story. It's kind of boring. It's irritating. People won't like you because you're just talking about yourself. So you kind of need to just have some social calibration, know the time and place to talk about these things. Maybe give an opening. You don't need to discuss the entire story in full detail. You can summarize it if it's in a situation where you don't have much time to talk, and then expand upon it if they want to know actually what happened in the story. maybe you open it with some sort of question. Did I ever tell you about that time some homeless guy tried to kill me? And if they say no, tell me about it. Well, now you have your pathway. They've just accepted your story. And that's how you actually become interesting at talking. You can have these small talk, these boring conversations, but you don't learn about each other and it's not interesting. You can have deep conversations, which is nice, but sometimes you won't really want to have a deep conversation just because, deep conversations are kind of draining. They use a lot of energy. But stories are fun. You talk about yourself, so they actually learn about you. And it's interesting. So go outside, gain some stories, write them down in your notes app on your phone, because then you can kind of look at them, like just write down a 1 to 2 sentence summary of what happened. So then you can look at it and immediately remember, oh, I forgot I had that story. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting story. I'll make sure to tell that later. Once you do that, you won't have any problem with being interesting in conversations. If you want to learn how to get better at socializing, to get to level 2 where you can talk to any guy at any time no matter what, so you can start making friends, to build brotherhood, then check out the top link in the description. It's the social protocol. You will learn exactly how to learn to socialize, and you can actually talk to me personally, so I can give you actual personal advice live. Remember, consistency is over a lifetime. Bye bye.